Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey there. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you. Woo! Telling you, this is fun. This is fun for me only because as a meteorologist, we live for this kind of stuff. Some of you may not live for any of this at all. I understand that. It's understandable. But I'm excited just because of the pattern that we've been in and the pattern that we're going to be in for the next few days. And also you throw in a little precipitation to the mix and it's all fun and games. Until somebody gets hurt. You know the typical thing. All right, look at Diana's in the house with a 3-week streak on stars. So is Carrie. She's got a 2-week streak, so thank you, ladies. Appreciate the love here for our lunchtime live. So if you'd like to join them, you can hit the stars button at the bottom right next to leave a comment. This is on the Facebook app or on your phone or tablet or whatever it may be, or even on your computer. YouTube, you can do super chat. But thanks for joining me regardless. And I hope you guys will like and share this video with your friends and family so that it shows up on their news feeds. And the more you interact with this, the more Facebook and Twitter and YouTube reward you by letting you know when I do go live. Because the algorithms are all artificially enhanced to where they give you what they think you want, not what they know that you want. So you're still in control, but you have to manipulate those things. All right, let's take a look at go on with the data. As you know, I got a lot to talk about and very little time, like Smokey and the Bandit, right? All right, so here's a look at the central Oklahoma view with the radar. A lot of snow blowing around out there. And it's not so much that there's a lot of snow, it's just a lot of blowing snow. The winds have picked up today, and it's going to stay a little windy off and on here between now through the next several days versus what we've seen the last few days, which have been very calm winds. So the echoes you see on the screen is all from the snow, and these little white dots here indicates little reports that come in from some grapple and stuff from people that are tracking it for you and reporting them. Now, the pink numbers you see on the map are wind chill values. So wind chill values are around 0 out there. It's cold. You can feel like negative numbers in northwest Oklahoma. So it is going to be a brutal Friday, and I wish I could say it gets better from here, but it doesn't. It gets worse. So this is just the beginning of our coldest stretch coming into the weekend on into early next week. Now, these little colored icon or colored counties you see on the map, let me click, see if it'll, there we go. The couple of things are in effect. A wind chill advisory, which is 1, and that's dangerous wind chills as low as -15 below 0. We've talked about that. Once you get wind chill values about that cold, it only takes about 30 minutes or so to get frostbite. So you want to make sure you're bundled up outdoors. Also, no winter storm watch is in effect. That's going to talk about the significant snowfall up to about a foot for some of you, and we're going to get to that and more. So that's over a large area of the state. So Oklahoma has got it on this storm system. So here's the National Weather Service outlook here for today, showing you the negative wind chill values that they harped on as a big story point for today, which is good. And then they're kind of continuing to adjust their snowfall forecast. Now, is this going to pan out? Well, let's take a look. They keep adjusting it, and rightfully so, because new data comes in. It helps to fine tune. Remember, snowfall forecasting, first off, is not easy, much less trying to do it a week away. That's just suicide for a meteorologist. So you usually want to wait to the very end that you can to get more confidence to start to talk about totals. But in this day and age, we're forced to do it sooner rather than later because that's what the public demands. You guys want to know. So we do our best to give you the best guess estimate. And we're going to take a look at some data that's just coming in now and see if that's going to hold. Here's a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere and the jet stream pattern. We got a good strong upper level disturbance right here. Now this is going to swing southward into northern Mexico and come into southern Texas. So it's going to bypass Oklahoma, but Do you see this little stretch of mid and upper level moisture right here coming on in? So that's feeding on into Oklahoma. So this is going to kind of help to moisten up our atmosphere a little bit for today and for Saturday. So we're going to get a little bit of snow out of this, a little enhancement of the light snow, nothing crazy. I mean, we're just kind of more of a glorified dusting, but it will help at least a little bit. But what it sets the stage for is this next batch of moisture with the next upper level disturbance that's quickly on the heels of this one. That's going to come in, and this one should take a track that goes right through Oklahoma, and that's for this latter part of this weekend. Here's a look at the overall picture of things across the southern plains. And we are seeing a lot more snow break out here into the central plains that go around, and that helps to reinforce the Arctic air and not allow it to modify too much. Here we've got the light snow breaking out here. You saw these little plus signs on the map. Those are all reports of snowfall all the way down to Dallas. So Dallas is getting a mixture of a little bit of snow, and it looks like some also freezing drizzle icons as well, or sleet. So they kind of have a mixed bag of winter precip, very light going on down there. So the event continues in various forms across the southern plains. Temperatures, of course, are cold. They're in the single digits up north into Kansas. That's what these red numbers are up here. The dew point values are the negative numbers. What this tells us is, why is it snowing again? Well, it's a reinforcing shot of this brutally cold air here as we head into the teens, dropping back into Oklahoma and replacing the Arctic air that was already here. So anytime you get a reinforcing front that comes in, you squeeze out additional moisture and you get that snowfall that comes out there. It's very light, usually doesn't amount to much, maybe a dusting. It's usually about all you can get out of it. If you have a little bit more to work with, say an upper level storm system or something at the same time, you can get a little bit better snowfall out of that. But if you take a look, also the big story is going to be these winds. You see these little G's, that means gusts, gust to 23, gust to 20, gust to 22. So where the anemometers are thawing out and getting off that little light coating of ice that froze them over, which is still the case in many areas. You see these little these little squares. There's no data there, but eventually they'll come back online. You can see as they do so, we're starting to get a little windy, and that's what's going to aid to the wind chill values. The red numbers are temperatures. We're into the single digits up here in northwest Oklahoma. Now, this is so important, right? If we're going to have that snow coming through right now, the big storm system coming on in, I'm going to give you an example of what happens with the snow ratio and temperature. So we're going to draw right around 12 degrees Fahrenheit, so something like this. So once you get below, you know what, let's do it this way. Yeah, let me do it this way. Let's include about 15, because this will change as more of that cold air filters in, so to give you a better idea. All right, so we'll do one line there, and we'll do one line somewhere up in here. Okay, so we have, in this particular case, we would have a 30 to 1 snow ratio here, and we would have a 25 to 1 snow ratio here, and then down here would be quickly dropping off from a 20 to a 15 to a 10. What this means is, if you had 1 inch of water equivalent, it would equate to 30 inches of snow in northwest Oklahoma. Here it would be 25, here it would be 20. Put that on mute. I'm busy. Got things to do here. All right. Oh my gosh. This is the second time that's happened. All right. People, don't you know I'm live? Come on now. All right, so that's kind of an idea of snow ratios. I'm going to get to that here in just a quick second. Also, keep in mind on my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, and my website, AaronTotalWeather.com, you have access to the Oklahoma road conditions. Very important page you're going to want to visit often. It's got the ground temperatures, the snow routes. It's got what actual conditions look like out the window on the roadways. Here's a snowplow driving around, for example. It'll tell you if the closed, if the roads are closed, severe, all that kind of stuff. And, of course, you have the city metros. I've been showing you this every day to reinforce that that's where you can go to get some quick access to information that you're going to want to know about. Okay, now, we've obviously got some very light precipitation out there right now. Not a big deal. On Saturday morning, we're going to have a repeat of a little light precipitation out there. Not a big deal. So Saturday, if you want to travel, do some last minute stuff, you're fine. Saturday night starts right here at this marker, and it ends, this is Monday evening at this marker. So you can see the bulk of our next precipitation event is going to be between these two markers, with a peak Sunday night, right in here, the heaviest of the precipitation. So this is how the precipitation will fall, the timing of it here. This is in Oklahoma City, but it also kind of expands outward across the state. The general window is going to apply. When we look at the total amount of QPF, the models have bumped it up a little bit to about 0.6 of an inch on average. There are some outliers that's up around an inch, and there are some outliers that's down around a third of an inch. So a half inch to 0.6 totally jives with the forecast we've been talking about here for a while. Snow ratios become important because you're going to multiply this number by the snow ratio where you live. Very far southeast Oklahoma would be roughly close to 10 to 1 or maybe 15 to 1. So you would get about 6 inches of snow. In northwest Oklahoma with a 30 to 1 ratio, you're looking at 18 inches of snow. That's how much the craziness can happen. Now, if we take a look at the icing that's going to happen as well, I want to show you that snow isn't the only thing with this system. Down here into Texas, I'll show you a couple of panels for the next 3 days. Ice will continue to accumulate here in South Texas from a couple of those storm systems. The first one coming in tonight and tomorrow, and then the next one that comes in late Sunday. So that will continue to generate some icing down there. If you have friends and family, give them a heads up. They're still going to be seeing some freezing rain, which will cause problems on roadways. Also, of course, the cold temperatures with some pipe breaking and all that kind of stuff. And even down in Houston, the fourth day, models are going nuts down here along the coastline, some of them. Let's go into the GFS. So might get some significant icing down to the Houston area, right along the coast. A very rare event for those folks down there. So just a kind of a big picture of that. And then the snow itself, what we're going to do is I'm not going to waste time with that one. I'm just going to go with the QPF because remember, we're going to have to multiply by different ratios depending on where you live. And I want to say the take home here is you see where you get the scale goes up to just as it touches blue. That's half an inch. Under that, it's just a little less than half an inch. There's a high-res models there. Let's go into the GFS. There's a lot of blue on the map, a little bit of the darker green. There's even some light blue at times, which is up to 3/4 of an inch. So I guess, like I said, there are some model outliers that do go a little bit more than half an inch on an average, but most of them are really closer to that 0.5. And I can look at each one of these. It's all going to tell me the same. So that's roughly the number across the state we're going to multiply with. So here's a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is the jet stream pattern. So this is our first system here that we're talking about. This is going to zip down to southern Texas, and then we're going to see what comes in after that as I put this in motion for you. So as you can see, the influence for Oklahoma for that one is pretty far removed. We just a very light influence of energy from that one. But the second one on its heels, this guy right here, you see all that bright color on the map? So this is the upper level low that's going to swing through across the Red River by Sunday night and Monday morning, which is why we're going to get some good snows in Oklahoma. That one will move off, and then we've got another one on its heels that comes in. It's a prolonged event from Tuesday night. The energy is already moving on through, producing some light precipitation. It starts to set up shop here on Wednesday, and then by Thursday morning, it starts to come across Oklahoma and Texas. Now, this is an issue here because this is way out there in time, and this has more of a look of an open trough than it does a closed low. If it's an open trough, we're going to have a lot less overall heavy precipitation. If it comes as a closed low, we'll have heavier, more clustered precipitation. That's a huge deal maker when it comes to snowfall totals. So the second system, although has been looking wet in prior runs, with this little change in the trend that may try to take shape, means all bets are off. It could go one way or the other. We could have another foot of snow with that one, or we could only have 4 inches of snow, something like that, all right? So that is a possibility. It's a big swath. I can't narrow it down any further than that because there's too much chaos in what the models think in that extended outlook as far as how the look of that next system comes through. Meanwhile, 10 to 1 is what our typical snow ratio is, which means 10 inches of snow to 1 part of water. We call it QPF, quantitative precipitation forecast. It's really just the liquid water content. And the colder it gets, the deep cold they call it, leads to higher snow ratios, and that's how we end up with 25 to 1 or even 30 to 1. So there's an example. Remember how I was drawing you on the map, the 12-degree line, 18, 5 degrees in those areas, kind of give you an idea of where a 30 to 25 to 1 ratio would set up. Big snows happen. Very dry, very fluffy. When you get those snow ratios around 30 to 1, here's an example of that on the south side of a lake where you get the north wind blowing across it, you're going to end up with 30 inches of snow. Yeah, I said it. 30 inches of snow is going to happen. That's the side of the drifts that the wind's going to help blow around. So some of you is going to get some really good snow, especially in the south, those big lakes that haven't frozen over. The weight of the snow is very light, fluffy snow, 15-to-1 ratio, not much to write home about. If we had a big wet snow with a 5-to-1 ratio, obviously it'd be a lot heavier, and that would be the weight on the roof, for example. But even then, the roofs can tolerate it. We've shown this graphic quite a bit just because it's important to kind of reinforce home. Okay, so I do want to show you. This is why I have my doubts on the extended secondary system. I'm going to show you the water vapor. Water vapor is a good channel to look at in the satellite for the amount of moisture and energy, the strength with an upper level storm system. So we're going to look at the first one. All right, so let me start it back at time 0. So time 0, time 0 right here. I just realized the new model's coming in we can look at before I wrap up. But time 0, it's right here. Remember, this one's going to zip down here. We're going to watch it, all right? And then we're going to see what happens after the next one after that. So this one comes in more of a bowling ball. You can see it's got some bright enhancement with the colors, but it dies out and weakens as it comes into Texas. Now the second one on its heels comes across the Rockies. Look at all those bright colors. A lot of energy, a lot of moisture to work with. That means we're going to have it. We're going to get it this weekend, not even a question, all right? That moves on by. Now let's go to the third system. Okay, we're starting to get some bright enhancement. Now this is Tuesday evening when it starts. Then what happens? We don't see any yellows. Matter of fact, where's all the brighter enhancement supposed to happen? Oh, that's way down here in Louisiana. All right, so what happens is it actually has a system weakening and not strengthening. It's coming as an open wave versus the closed low. It started to come in good right here when it was coming across the Four Corners area, but then as it moved into the Southern Plains, it just petered out. So that's why next week, I'm a little gun shy at seeing another, being able to easily call for a foot of snow. This first round, I had no problems with that. Second round, I got to see more consistency in the output of the data to get a better feeling of what I want to go with on that. Okay, so now let's talk about some more details for you. Here's a look at some of the ensemble runs, which does have this is the global ensembles, which has a peak of the precipitation starting here for Valentine's Day. So let's see, make sure I'm on Oklahoma City, and let's pick the total QPF. And they're going in about 4/10. So the global models, there's a little bit more than 4/10 through Monday. So not a little less than half an inch. So it kind of jives with the other model clusters that we saw. So again, you got to multiply that number by your snow ratio. So I like half an inch as an average. It's an easy call, no question. There will be some little less to the 4/10. There'll be some of the more to the 6/10. So that just means you get a little more snow, a little less snow. But I like the average of basically 10 to 12 inches. So I like a foot here in Oklahoma City, for example. All right, so QPF in the long term, a lot of the ensembles here for the GFS are clustered right around an inch. So remember, they were gung-ho on this storm, and then they kind of continued with the secondary storm. They didn't quite weaken it as much as the European did, and that's why I'm a little concerned with the outlook on the extended as to whether we might not quite get as much. But if we were to stick with the GFS, which I have used since this thing started because European has stunk, and I take this at face value, and I have to my forecast today, never change it, it's another foot of snow coming for the middle of next week. So that's 24 inches of snow if you're not keeping tabs. It is what it is. That's the pattern that we're in. I love it. Okay, so now let's take a look at the details here. Okay, so we're going to talk about the short-term models now. Get out of this global stuff. We're going to go right through the weekend, and we're going to look at the Canadian first. And you can see a wide swath here from 3/10 to 4/10 to these darker blues here, 6/10. Hey, jives with what I've showed you so far on a variety of other outputs and discussion points. So I'm totally fine with this model. Again, at this point in time, we break up the state. We do something like this, where that's 30-1. We do something like this, where this is about 25-1. And then the grading gets a little tighter, 20-1, 15-1, and then 10-1 down here for the snowfall total. So you multiply these numbers accordingly to where you live, according to the state, and that's how much snow you should get. So that is the Canadian run. Take a look at the NAM run. Now, that model is similar with central northwestern Oklahoma. It just happens to do a lot more rain in southeast Oklahoma because there's a higher precipitable water content down there. But remember, the snow ratio is less. So you may get more precipitation, but your ratio isn't any better. You're not as cold. So if you were to multiply the max peak here of 0.8, you're getting 8 inches of snow. That's at a 10-to-1 ratio. Okay. Whereas 4, well, we multiply that by 20. If we're right at that, and we're not 25-to-1, which I think will be at 25-to-1, but if we're at 20-to-1, that would be 8 inches of snow. Easy. All right. And then, of course, you get in the blue. We've got to go up here. If we go to 30-to-1, for example, now you're 15 inches of snow. So that's why I'm thinking it's a big gradient from as much as 18 in northwest Oklahoma to around a foot in central Oklahoma to around 8 inches in southeast Oklahoma. That's how I'm looking at it right now. That's what I see in the data. That would be my official snowfall forecast on a noontime Friday for an event that doesn't really even start until Saturday night and doesn't end until midday Monday. Let's take a look. The New European has come in through 60 hours. Ooh. So through Sunday afternoon, it's increased its totals. Just as I get confident, by the way, in what my forecast is going to be, new model comes in and goes, "Hey, Aaron, come here. Let me slap you in the face with this." So it's got 6/10 or more, which if this event was over, that'd be fine because that would match the other data we looked at. But it's now going higher, and this event's not even over. All right, so this is why you want to wait till about 48 hours to produce snowfall forecasts, and that wouldn't be until tonight's runs that come in the evening. But hey, it is what it is. This new data is just coming in. You're watching me watch it on the fly and try to challenge my belief system. No one likes their belief system challenged. So I'm still going what I'm going with until I can see otherwise. I'd have to see more trends in this direction than to jump on this bandwagon. But just to let you know, that's how you see things in real time. Let me see what else we got. Okay, so let's go extended. That was the... before I do that, before I leave the weekend period with the high resolution models, let me show you the wind gusts. If you didn't watch last night, we talked about how the winds would be picking up, gusting up to around 20 or so at times, and they're going to be up around 30 to even higher than that on Sunday. So people were talking about blizzard conditions. With blowing snow, whiteout, reduced visibility, Sunday will not be fun. There's numbers up here into the 30s for winds blowing in excess across central and even southern Oklahoma. So it would be very windy on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening as the system moves on by, and of course it dies down by Monday. And that plays into the wind chill values, by the way. So we'll just skip ahead to, see, Saturday's cold, but you're used to it by now, right? Wind chill values in single digits, like, it's nothing. All right, so let's go to Sunday, Valentine's Day. I think for a week now I've been telling you Valentine's Day was going to be brutal. It still is. -7, -8 during the day. As we head into Sunday evening and Monday morning, wind chill values get worse. We're into the negative teens to -20s. It gets a little better Monday afternoon, but not by much as the winds start to calm down by the end of the day. Okay, so that takes care of wind chills. Temperatures, of course, are not going to be far from those wind chills because it's been pretty cold here. So we're in the single digits here, for example, Sunday night into Monday morning. We bottom out around 3 degrees. It's possible it could be a few degrees colder than that with the fresh snowpack and the system still ongoing. Depends on how much air is tapped in from the north that comes in on the wraparound, the backside of it. It's all timing. But Tuesday morning is setting up to be our coldest of the cold, into the negative maybe 10 category for an actual air temperature. Not the wind chill, but the actual air temperature. So pipes and stuff, man, they're going to be hurting here for the next few days. Speaking of pipes, if you have a pool, I don't know what you got to do for pools, but if your pump breaks, your pipes freeze, you're in trouble. So make sure you got your pool. If you haven't winterized it or figured out how you can protect it or what happens in emergency, do that now, just in case you do end up with a little problem to have to resolve quickly. Antifreeze should be one of those ingredients on your bucket list there for the weekend to pick up. Okay, so now let's talk about the extended. Let's get into next week. Take a look at that next storm system. I'm going to pick the GFS old version, not the new version. New version I think is too out of control. All right, so I'm going to pick its more it's more conservative brother, and we'll see how it looks at that point in time. So here's temperatures Tuesday morning, for example. -12 degrees in Stillwater and Ponca City and Enid, Bartlesville, -11 here in Oklahoma City. Just kind of goes to show you that, it's just, what can you say, right? We're running out of adjectives. All right, and then we stay cold into next week. Here's Wednesday. Here's Thursday. It's not really getting any better. Then the models magically, mysteriously after Friday, warm things up. So we go into Saturday. So the following weekend, look at that. All of a sudden we're above freezing. I don't buy it. It won't happen. But at least some models are trying to head in the right direction. Now let's talk about the QPF for that time frame. And that's important. And then I'm going to give you the timeline for the snow moving through here in Oklahoma. And then we're done. So let's see here. Precipitation amounts in the GFS for this upcoming weekend through Monday afternoon. Not far from the other models I was talking about and how things jive, about half an inch on average, maybe a little higher in southeast Oklahoma. So I'm all good with that. Like I said, the European's brand new. I'll have to see what it's doing in the data to buy that trend. And that would be a brand new trend that these others have not been trending toward. Into the end of Thursday, it has backed off its overall total, but if you've noticed, it added about another 4/10 of precipitation. So again, that would be about another 10 inches of snow with a 25-to-1 ratio. If we're up closer to a 30, but I think we'll be a bit closer to 25, so that's another 10 inches, no problem. So that's why I'm saying the middle of next week, I had no problem calling for close to about another foot, and it's just now I'm starting to question that, but we're so far out, that's why we got plenty of time to discuss this, but I told you why I thought that we could see that. As long as that doesn't change, then we will, but I'll have to see what the new trends do with time. But regardless, that was the conservative. If you want to see what the gung-ho, all-out new version of the GFS is, it's going 1.5. So at a minimal, that's, you do the math. You can multiply by 20. So that's 30 inches of snow, right? And if it's 25-to-1, that's even more than 30 inches of snow. That's like getting closer to 40 in some areas. So that's why I'm saying next week, I'm hoping just for the more dramatic, just because the weather guy in me wants it. And I want to see it and visualize it and experience it. But for the overall public viewpoint, you guys don't want that. Nobody wants that. It's a hindrance to everything: economy, traffic, life, all that stuff. So you don't want to see it. Just the meteorologist in me wants to see it because it's a freak event, but it doesn't work for society. So I can't really root for it publicly. Although on inside and deep in my heart, I may think, oh, that would be awesome to see. Now we do have other systems coming later in the period on Sunday the 28th. And this is QPF, mind you. So this might end up being just all rain by this point. We got plenty of time to work out the next couple of storms that come in before the month ends to see if there's enough cold air with it or not. All right. We were doing that, and then I told you about the timeline. So let's do the timeline, and then we're wrapped up. So thanks for hanging in with me this whole time. I know these are a little long, but trust me, you get everything you need to get that you can't get when you watch the newscast on the weather. 3.5 minutes to try to cover all this is just not possible. So this gives me the format where we can really get deep into the data. Regardless, here's a look at the timeline. So by midnight Saturday, we've already got light snow breaking out here across Oklahoma. You can see that continues during the day on Sunday. Yeah, so midnight Saturday night into Sunday. Here's Sunday afternoon, have snow and heavy. Starts to wound up and move out of here by Monday morning. This model's a little faster with the wrap-up system. And then it's going to bring in the next one coming in. We talked about Tuesday evening. So there's the snow for Tuesday evening during the day on Wednesday. And then that starts to wrap up, looks like, by Thursday morning. Out of maybe a few flurries first part of Thursday that hang in there. But otherwise, that's it. And then eventually we'll have another storm system that comes in. What does this one have? This has got solid rain so far on the 24th, and there's another one here on the 28th. That almost looks like more of a severe weather look at the storms. I was gonna look at that real quick. Hey, look at that. We have just a little bit of cape, and so yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll jump from winter right into shear time for severe storm season. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? That was me being sarcastic. Anyway, so we'll deal with all that later on. Let's just get through these first couple of guys. Okay, so let's go back into the Oklahoma view and the timing of that with the high-res models, and we'll see if there's any slight difference in the timing for you. Okay, that was the global model we looked at, so we'll get more specific here. By the way, there will be a little bit of sleet that comes into Dallas-Fort Worth area Saturday evening. So I say a little, and it may mean a lot, but while we get the snow here in Oklahoma Saturday night, they get the sleet, and then they'll get the snow as the storm system starts to move overhead on Sunday. And then as we head into Sunday night, they get a nice little heavy batch of snow, and then snow wraps up here Monday afternoon out of eastern Oklahoma with this deal. So I will show the snowfall map totals, which won't be right for central Oklahoma because we're not at this ratio. That it's not detecting the dryer ratio. It's kind of sticking closer to the 10-to-1 here in central, and I think that's wrong because it doesn't know what the actual temperature is. So that's going to be out to lunch. But it'll be better, more accurate representation down here in North Texas. So that's why I want to pull that up. So ignore the stuff, put my hand up over the top part. And look down along south of the Red River and maybe far southeast Oklahoma. That's the only place that's be more representative. Anyway, so just, my point being is North Texas is going to get some good snow, several inches down there for you guys. And that's after the sleet moves through during the overnight period on Saturday night. Okay, so I believe that's going to do it for me. That was a lot to talk about. All right. Well, hope that was informative. Thanks again for watching. We're going to do this again tonight at about 9:15. I'd like to stay and answer some of your questions, but I got to run. But we'll do this again tonight. We have a little bit more time. We can do a little personal question and answer session if you'd like at the end of the forecast period. And we'll have a better look at some of the new data that comes in within that 48-hour window to start to really pinpoint exact amounts. But I still feel confident with the foot of snow here in central Oklahoma and maybe parts of western and northwest Oklahoma. I hate to say it, but 16, 18 inches, that's the way it looks right now. I mean, that's what the data is, unless I can prove the data is wrong. And that means I'm better than several models. That's saying a lot. And sometimes I go against the models. I don't see a reason to go against them right now. All right, well, that's it for me. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Always appreciate the love, support. I know there's some haters out there, but let them hate. Let them cry more. I feed off those tears. And I see them out there on Twitter. Twitter's nothing but a cesspool of haters anyway, so it brings me joy. So don't sweat if you see it, you come across it. Just throw them some AT love on there and cover up their hate, and just let them know that there's still a lot of AT fans out there. All right, we'll talk again soon. You guys have been great. See you later.